Hello. Extremely sorry, everybody. I think I went offline. Hi. If you guys can rejoin, that will be great. Hi. Extremely sorry. I think I did some mistake in the streaming. So, yeah, let's continue. Um, hi, Tawfiq. Thank you. Yeah, can you guys please rejoin? I think there was some mistake in the streaming, so I went offline. So please join back, everyone. Thank you. And let's begin from the beginning. So, as I was talking about clinical research, so after the molecule is invented and the medicine is prepared and preclinical is done, now we before we actually can use it on the human beings, we need to research and check if that is safe, um, and the medicine what it is supposed to do it is doing, like, and then if whatever we are giving to the humans, if there is any adverse reaction that is happening or not. So as somebody mentioned correctly, that the safety efficacy that we decide through this clinical research process. Now, share link in the group, ma'am, they'll join soon. Okay, thank you, Tofik. Thank you for your support. And so this clinical research process is a huge process, and that involves multiple different people and multiple different profiles to work on it to make it a complete success. So we will today learn what are the roles that is available within clinical research, what do they do, and how we are eligible for them. So, hello everyone who is rejoining, welcome back. So these are the roles that are available within the clinical research process. So one is clinical data management, one is clinical research associate, and one is clinical research coordinator. Four will be pharmacovigilance that you are studying from sir, and then there will be regulatory affairs assistant, and also there will be medical writer, medical coder. These are the few opportunities that are there within clinical research that we can go for. So all these roles are for all these roles, any life science graduate or pharmacy graduates that are you guys are eligible for. So, and this information many life science students also they're not aware of, so you can spread the word that apart from you guys who are studying pharmacy, they are also eligible, but anybody who is doing any BSc, MSc, they are also eligible for these roles. So they can also apply. Now we will go one by one and know what are these roles do, and give you an overview about these roles, so that we can go ahead and not necessarily you have to apply for all of the roles, but I want to make you aware that these are the roles that is available in the market that you are eligible for, and give you an overview, so that, and I'm sure everybody, you are creating a basic CV. So for each and every role, whenever we will be applying to this role, we will tweak a little bit depending upon the roles, roles and responsibility that is given by uh, the company, and then we will apply. And our studies also, the basic principle are same, like what is clinical research, how many phases are there, all these regulatory guidelines that we have, ICH, GCP, and all these things, the basics they will be same. And so we can tweak a little bit here and there our CV, and then we can apply for these. And then by knowing the overview of all the roles, I think you can have an idea that which one you are interested and which one you want to go for. So it will be a good overview session. So let's go first with the clinical data manager role. uh, so before that, I want to tell you which role comes where. So we have how many roles? CDA, CRA, CRC, PV, medical writer, medical coder, and regulatory affairs. So we have overall seven. There could be some other roles here and there also. So today we are talking about these seven roles. Okay. So another thing, when you will be searching for these roles in Naukri or wherever job portals, so there could be different names of these roles also. Like for CDM, a CDM, clinical data manager, can also be called as clinical data associate or clinical data coordinator. So these names means the clinical data manager role. The role will be same, but different company uses different role names. So these are the names of the same role. So what clinical, you can make a note of it. Ma'am, the slides look smaller. Can you please zoom it a little bit? I think that is not happening for me. Uh, Can you guys, I think I'll ask Tofik, can you guide me? Because I'm in Restream and I'm not used to it. Uh, British. I think I'm having a little bit of challenge here. How do I make it? Yes, ma'am, please zoom the slides. Just a moment. Can any one of you guide me how do I do that? Because I'm a little lost here. Uh, uh, just a moment. I might need your sir's help. Okay, is it better now? Uh, can you guys see a little clearer? I think it is a little clear now. So I can go ahead and talk. Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, fine. Great. Thank you. So, so before I get into this, I you need to know there are few terms. Thank you, Priyanka. So, thank you, Tofik. So before I get into all this, there are few terms that you might know, because that it will be easier for us to discuss. So in this clinical research, there is a document called protocol. Protocol is called the Bible of clinical research. So protocol is the document where everything is written, how the research study research will be conducted, how the trial will be conducted, who will be involved, what are the roles that are involved, who are all the stakeholders, and what are the activities that will happen, what will be the frequency of it. So protocol is a document where you will have the every each and every information that you need to conduct the trial. Now the protocol is prepared from the client side. Okay, so suppose let's say, for an example, I am Novartis, I'm client, and I need to conduct a clinical trial for a cancer drug. Now I have my drug, and then I am giving it to a clinical research organization like Quintiles, like PPD, like Icon, like that. So I will give my protocol to that company, and the CRO is supposed to follow that protocol and conduct the trial. Okay. Now I have it will be great if you can make a note of all the roles that I have given you. I'll again mention the roles. CDM and CRA, CRC, PV, medical monitor, medical writer, and regulatory affairs. Now, I want to imagine a picture. I want you to imagine a picture. So here there is the client. Okay, so they are giving you the protocol. Now, as per protocol, there are different parts. All that I have named, all the roles, they will be working. So many a times they will be working simultaneously, many a times only one part of the character will work. So what happens, for a clinical research or a clinical study to happen, we need a few places to happen. So we need patients, because we will be giving them the drugs that we need to check the safety and efficacy. So there is a suppose, there is, for example, there is an oncology study going on. We are checking the safety and efficacy of a cancer drug. Now what are the basic requirements for that? So we need patients who have cancer, because we have to test and give them those medicine and check what is the effect that it is giving, and if it is healing the patient, if it is giving any adverse drug reaction or not. So that's what we will be checking. So we need patients. Now where we will be doing all these tests, giving the we have to give them the medicine, do some test, take some blood, and see, do some analysis. So for all these things we need a place, a hospital. In clinical research term we call it site. So we have our patients. For clinical research term, we call the patients as subjects. Okay, so we give them the numbers, different numbers we give, and we call them subjects. So this is the basic fundamentals I'm telling you. So we have our subjects, and then we have our sites. Sites are basically mainly hospitals where patients can come and then they take the medicines as per the protocol. And now we have to, so you need to there are you have we need to have people who will give, who will take care of the patients. They will check them, they will draw blood from them, they'll give them medicine, they will conduct them. Okay, so for them we need CRC. So here CRC comes. Okay, CRC is involved in all the site related work. So I'm trying to paint a picture on you, that all these names that I have given you, that this role is there, this role is there. So I'm trying to create a picture where you can understand where and when which role comes into picture. So so far I think this is clear, that I have a client called Novartis. They are trying to test or do a trial on an oncology study. Great. Thank you for summarizing, Priyanka. So now we have the protocol. Now, as for the protocol, we need some subjects. We need some what you call. We need a site. Now, the studies could be multi-site, or there could be different hospitals where the same study can happen simultaneously, right? Because there are phases of the study depending upon which the number of the study subjects vary. So there could be phase 1 study where we have 20 to 30 subjects. There could be phase 2 study where we have some subjects. And there could be phase 3 studies where we have hundreds to thousands of subjects. So to get all these subjects, we might need to involve hospitals, multiple hospitals as in site. When the multiple sites are involved, then we call it multi-center study. So we will get into all these details when we will be doing clinical data management course in detail. But this is for basics to understand how it goes. So now we have subjects. So to take care of the subjects, to check their vitals, and then give them the medicines, take bloods, and basically do all the activity that is required to run the trial, CRC comes into place. So CRC does their work. Now, to manage CRCs, we have this role called CRA. So CRC means Clinical Research Coordinator. They are the coordinators who will conduct the study. Now, above CRC, we have CRAs, Clinical Research Associate. What they will do? They will ensure that the CRCs are doing their work properly. CRCs are doing their work by the book, because remember we have a protocol. So whatever we will be doing, we will have to do according to our protocol. We cannot go out of our protocol. So CRAs ensure that all the activities that are happening by the book as per the protocol. The sites, they are maintaining all the safety and regulatory measures. What are the rules that we have that needs to be maintained? So CRC does that. So CRA does that. So they visit all the sites. So because of that, this CRA role comes with a lot of traveling. So CRAs have to visit all the sites, different sites, and then just a moment. Yeah, so CRA role involves a lot of traveling. It could be local, it could be outside your territory also, because CRAs make sure that the CRCs are working fine, the sites are working fine. That's their responsibility. Okay, so CRA role comes with a lot of traveling. Now CRA is done. Now here comes there is another role that comes, that is clinical data manager or clinical data coordinator. Now see, previously there were paper trials. So whatever the work, like हमारे पापा के जमाने में everything was pen and paper. Now everything is computerized. So previously the trials were paper based trials. Now it is all computer based, EDC, electronically based. Now the clinical data management people are sitting the other side of CRC. So what happens, whatever activities that the CRCs are doing, whatever data they are collecting, they have all the forms. So whatever they are doing with the patient, they are supposed to document it in the they have their forms, they have their formats, so they have to document everything. Suppose a patient is going for a visit, so they have to take their vitals, they have to document which visit it is. Like, as per protocol, there are different visits. Suppose today you're taking a, means ma'am CRC work under CRA. uh, you can say so, because CRCs will report to CRA. CRA will check if CRC is working properly or not, if they're documenting everything properly or not. So what CRC does, they first of all they do all the management of the patient, and then all the management work that they do, the coordination, they also document it, and then they also uh, send it back to clinical data managers. Now, clinical data managers, what they do, whatever data that we are collecting from the site, we are running the clinical trial in the site, in the hospital. Patients are coming, we are collecting data from them. Now, what to do with this data? We have to analyze this data, right? So, CRCs are the one who does this data entry and send it back to clinical data managers for them to analyze. Now this protocol document, all of them have the protocol with them. Okay, so CDM also have the protocol, CRA also have the protocol, CRC also have the protocol. Protocol binds them all together, and they were supposed to work as per the protocol. Okay, so now suppose as per protocol for my oncology study, I'm giving you an example. um, So suppose there should be 10 visit. Now what does visit means? Now, um, as per protocol, your sponsor wants to do a study where they want to give the patient 10 doses. Okay, now you cannot give the dose every day, right? You have to keep a gap between one dose and second dose. So in the protocol there is a study design that is get so we have a study design. As per that, we give the medicine. Suppose depending upon the drug. Hi ma'am, good afternoon, and extremely sorry for being late. Monomoy Manna, that's all right. Monomoy, please join in. So where we are, yeah. So suppose a drug, that the oncology trial that we are going through. Now we have a schedule. Okay, so maybe day one we will be giving the drug, and then there will be a 15-day gap, and then again 15 days after we will be giving the second dose. Now that first suppose 1st January we have given this drug to the patient, so this is visit 1. Now again after 15 days we will be giving the second dose. Okay, so this will be visit 2, and now this is how our visit goes on. So how many visits will be there, that will also be described in the protocol. So the total study design will be there in the protocol, where how many visits will be there, every visit, what are the parameters that we will be checking with the patients, what are the we have to do the urinalysis check, we have to do the hematology check. So for that we have to draw the blood from them. There will also be mentioned whether you have to draw the blood before dosing or after dosing. So all of by doing all of this, because uh, what happens, you have taken the medicine, but then on the surface we will not understand how you're feeling, or whether it is working or on you or not. So we have to draw blood and do some analysis to know that whether it is working on you, whether it is giving you some adverse effect or not. So for that we have to do a lot of analysis. Now all this data, that through a system software, there are software in place, we called it EDC, electronic data capture. Previously it was paper trial. So the site people, we also call the CRC in layman language site people. So what they do, they document all these details. Okay, what is the date of the visit, what are the tests that has happened, what time patient has taken medicine, if they have shown any adverse reaction or not at that moment. If they are showing it after they go home, then they can say to you next time when they are visiting you. Okay, but they have to, if then and there something is happening, then that is also you have to report. So all these details the CRC guys, they are taking and transmitting it through an electronic data capture software to clinical data manager. So suppose this is, I'm just showing you, just imagine this is a barrier. Okay, here is CRC, here is CDM. So what is this? This is an electronic data capture. I'm looking at position data. Hello from Mexico. I'm looking apply for position data, so I'm very grateful for this information. Maria, thank you so much. Thank you for joining this session, and please stay tuned. We'll try to help you as much as possible. So yeah, so this is electronic data capture. This get formed. We will talk about this, how this is created, how in later part of our clinical data management process. So for now, the CRC guys, they enter the data, whatever they, each and every data they are collecting from the subject, and this comes to clinical data managers. Now clinical data managers. So far we got to know what CRC does. So far we got to know briefly that what is CRA's role. Now we are coming to CDM role. Now what does CDM do? All the data that we are getting from the site, we are supposed to analyze that as per protocol. Okay, so the EDC data capture, the software, it is built in such a way that if there is, suppose, I'll give you an example, but initially let me explain it. So all the data, so we have, it is built in such a way, I wish I could have shown you. The next day I'll try to show you a page where the data gets collected. So the page where the data gets collected called CRF, clinical research form, a clinical report form. Okay, so now as before it was paper, so clinical report form, now it is all electronic, so it is called ECRF. Okay, electronical clinical report form. Now for every data that is being captured, we have one separate ECRF. Like I'm sure many of you will be aware of adverse reactions, concomitant medications, medical history, vital signs. So this software, the EDC platform, where it's like a book. Okay, like in a book you have your contents, and then each and every page that you flip, there is a new chapter. So like that, you have a study. Under this study you have different forms. Okay, yes, clinical report form, right? So that is called CRF, and now as it is electronically built, so that is ECRF. Now in this ECRF, every page is present, and if you open that page, and there different data points are there. Depending upon the data points, all the data has been captured from the site. And for every subject we have different, for every subject we have a folder, and for every subject in every folder we have all the information that we are collecting from the site by the CRA. Okay, so CRA got all the information here. Now they will analyze. So for CDM to analyze, there are, there are rules, there are checks. We call it checks, which is inbuilt in the system. When we will be learning in detail, and I'll show you the CRF and what is a check. So suppose, mm, uh, suppose a value of some analyte, suppose a value of RBC, the normal range is from so and so. Will you please elaborate that? What is trial master file and difference with CRF? Definitely, Rudro, right? I'll take this question a little later. Okay, definitely. You remind me. I'll definitely tell you what is trial master file. So, what we are doing is we have different checks. Suppose, for example, there is a normal range of RBC, right? Now, if the software is built in such a way, if the subjects, by now we know what is subject, the patients that we enroll, we call them subjects. So we will talk in this language only to get familiarized. Okay. So now, suppose the RBC range is from 2 to 4, just for example, arbitrary I'm telling, but then the subject that we are right now reviewing is having RBC more than the range, then there will be some checks inbuilt in the system that will pop up saying that this is out of range. Like this, if there is a wrong data or out of range data which is not expected to happen, there are few inbuilt checks that will pop up in red with, by telling you that this is not the correct data or this is not an acceptable data. There must be something wrong. So this is how we can review the data, and we have to check with the site if the data is, that is a different procedure that we will learn later. So this is how, and there are other list of checks, list of logics through which we will be checking the data. So this is what the clinical data management does. So if we go through the slide here, what does clinical data manager do exactly? So this software or this database that we're talking about, clinical data management does the designing of it. That comes a little advanced form when you join as a data manager. You will not be, because that is a complicated process and a long process. So initially you will not be designing CRFs. You will be working on the data as a in the conduct phase. Okay, so data collection has already happened. So basically what data managers do, they do the data cleaning. Okay, so this process of checking the data whether it is correct or not, if there is something wrong, then you have to ask the site. There is way how you ask the site whether the data is right or wrong. And so this process, this is called data cleaning. So this data cleaning is sole purpose of data managers. Okay, so they have to ensure that all the data that we are collecting from the site is clean, because what this data manager's role is a very crucial role, because first of all you are handling a live data of somebody. Okay, the number that you're seeing as a subject number, this is a you know this is a live person. First of all that, so you have to be very careful about what you're doing. And secondly, this cleaning you know matters a lot, because this clean data will eventually get submitted to regulatory affairs, and if things are fine, then the drug gets approved and go to the market. If not, um, depending upon the sponsors, whatever decision they have to take, so they will take. So this data cleaning and data consistency is very important. So this is clinical data manager's role in nutshell. Okay, so for that you do data cleaning, and then also you cross check that there will be guidelines, there will be you have there are different systems in place with which you can do the data cleaning. Different formats are there. So there are reconciliations, there are data cleaning, there is other activities also through which you ensure that the data is clean. Okay, and this is the clinical data manager's role. So far, please take a moment. Oh, okay. Yeah, so far we are aware of three roles, then CRC, CRA, and CDM. Okay, now we'll come to I think we will go sequence wise as the roles come. So now we will talk a little bit about PV. I know you guys have studied a lot about PV, but I'll just give you a brief information. So when this CRA, CRC, and CDM is working, the PV also comes into place simultaneously. I'm trying to give you a picture where and when these roles come into picture. Okay, so PV also does a simultaneous work. So what does PV do? So basically, when we are doing this trial, we are trying to see the safety and efficacy of the drug. So efficacy means how much, suppose if I'm trying to cure or reduce a cancer disease, then the efficacy would mean that whether my drug is working fine and reducing the symptoms. If I'm taking a medicine for fever, then efficacy means whether my fever is getting down or not. That's the efficacy, simplest way. And what is the safety? Now, safety means I'm trying to reduce my fever, but then in the process, if this drug is giving me some more, you know, more symptoms, that fever to come ho gaya, but then it is giving me some other reactions which is even which is not safe for me. Okay, so in clinical trial, the motto is your benefit is always more than the reactions that you are having. Okay, so this is a study with which we have to know, we get to know that if there is any adverse reaction that is happening. Now, pharmacovigilance is a team who so safety, maintaining safety and managing the safety is utmost important in a clinical trial study. Now, as it is so important, we have a separate team called pharmacovigilance who keep a track on the adverse reactions, serious adverse reactions. There are adverse reactions, there are severe adverse reactions, there are criterias for them. We will not get into the details right now, but then there are adverse reactions, there are serious adverse reactions. So all these reactions gets maintained through this pharmacovigilance team. Okay, so they also, and then so all the AEs and SAEs that happen, so during the trial, the A's get updated in PV database also, as you know, in Argus, and all these A's and SAEs get updated in the clinical database also. Clinical database meaning the database which is clinical data management team is happening having. Okay, all the data that is coming from site to the system, they also have all the AE and SA detail. And separately, pharmacovigilance is a team where they also have all the details of AE and SA. It could be a little bit confusing. If this is becoming a little confusing, please raise a question, I'll clear it out. So then so far what happened? CRC, CRA, I'm just reiterating so that it gets into your head. What are the roles and what do they do? CRC, CRA, subjects, sites. CRC is giving the information to CRA, CDM. CDM is analyzing. Simultaneously, all the safety, only the safety related issues, all the safety related events, AEs and SAEs, is getting updated in a separate system called Argus, and that is getting monitored by pharmacovigilance team. They are only specialized for safety. Okay, and these safety details, it is here also in PV with PV team, and here also this is called the clinical team. Okay, the CDM team. Now, um, as the safety is very important and whole and sole purpose of running the trial, because there is no point creating a drug which is curing your problem but creating more problems, right? So safety is utmost important, uh, in my opinion, more than efficacy. Okay, so equally or more. So that's why it is given, is TMF used in PV associate? um, okay, I'll just briefly because Rudro is having a lot of question with TMF. Rudro, TMF is TMF. The full form is trial master file. So all the documents in the entire clinical trial process, we have to deal with a lots and lots of documentations. We have our protocols, we have our ICS, we have our when we are designing CRS. There are thousands of documents that we have to deal with. So as per the regulatory rules, we are supposed to keep these documents safe during the study and after the study. So trial master file is a repository. It's a common repository where all the study related documents, the trial related documents, they are there in the trial master file and can be accessed by PV and all the roles that I'm talking about. So it's a common repository. From this TMF, everybody has access, so everybody can all the documents are there. You can refer all the documents from TMF. So TMF has nothing to do with PV. Yeah, so everybody can access those documents. Every document that is involved in the study, you are supposed to save it during your study and after your study also, for reference purpose. Because a study after all the documentation is happening, all the activity, cleaning, everything that I'm describing you, throughout the journey, after everything, they gets submitted to regulatory affairs. And then after submission also, we have post surveillance, post marketing surveillance also. So we have to keep all these documents, so that at any given point we might have to refer any of the document for anything, like for any purpose, we might have to refer those documents. So we are supposed to keep those documents in a repository. This repository is called TMF, trial master file. Okay. And now as everything is electronical, so we call it eTMF. Okay. So I hope Rudro, your question is answered. If you have even more questions, please get to me. I'll answer it later. Okay, so we will come back to where we were there. So PV and yeah. So if we go through these pointers roughly, so collecting AE reports, data entry and safety database. So yeah, I was meaning to tell you another thing. So safety is so important that we not only collect the data, we also ensure that whatever data is with PV and whatever data is with clinical, that is in sync. Because sometimes there is so many human, there is nothing is errorless. If you are using a system, a software, that could also have error. There is so many humans that is involved in this process, so there could be a human error also. And there are instances, yes madam, actually in some job role there is TMF, correct. I'll come to you for that, definitely. Thank you for mentioning that. I will definitely come to that. So where are we? Yeah. So for PV, so safety is so important that we have to, there are chances of error. So to minimize that chance and to ensure that there is no miss from any side, and all the SAEs and AEs, adverse drug reactions, are getting captured, we do a reconciliation. It's a process, and it is an activity that clinical data managers do. So their pharmacovigilance people, they send their reports, and CDM people, they do a reconciliation. Reconciliation meaning there are two different pages or two different files, same information is there, and we are cross checking whether everything is in sync and present in both the databases. Okay, so this is a very important process in all clinical trial process, and ACA reconciliation is a very important process. Every not in the freshers interview, but whenever you will be having 1 or 2 years of experience, and then whenever you will be giving an interview as an experienced person, people are always you know uh, they always want to know whether you are aware of essay reconciliation, what are the parameters. So that's a different story. So now we also know what is pharmacovigilance guys do. Okay, now there are few other roles also. uh, we are done with clinical data manager, we are CRA. Okay, before I move into medical writing and medical affairs, medical writing and medical coding, we will just go through these slides once roughly. So this is CRA. So CRA helps in site selection. So um, these are a little detailed information. So I mentioned the sites. So CRA also helps in site selection, site initiation, monitoring visit. So when, as I mentioned, that CRA visits all the sites that are involved wherever the clinical trial is happening. There could be multiple hospitals where the clinical trial subjects are there. So this and they have to visit. These visits are called monitoring visit. Okay, so monitoring visits are there, regularly visiting trial sites to ensure compliance and proper documentation, as I mentioned. And this is source data verification. Another very important work of CRA is source data verification. What is source data? Now, the CRC, suppose, imagine a scenario, there is a subject. Ma'am, what is the key responsibility of a clinical data manager? Were you there all this while? Because I was describing clinical data manager's responsibility. I'll just briefly tell. So all the data that we are getting from the site through CRA by this EDC platform, clinical data managers' primary responsibility is to ensure all the data that has been collected are clean and there is no error, and all the data that has been collected is as per protocol, so that all the clean data can be submitted to the regulatory affairs. Okay, so that's the primary responsibility of a clinical data manager. Now I was talking about source data. Now, as I mentioned, suppose imagine a day where this is a visit day. Okay, this is today, 1st January, today is a visit day. uh, okay, now subject has come, and the vital signs has been done. He or she has taken the medication. Some blood has been taken from him or her for some analysis. All the documents, all the information are, you must have seen nurses, they have all, those pages they keep ticking and then updating. So the first hand information what CRC is updating, that is called source data. Source data is the main data. Suppose a subject has come on 1st January 2025. What time? 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so this information I am writing in a format, the paper, that is my source data. And all the CRA is responsible for ensuring all the all the data that is going into the EDC and later CDM is as per the source data. So CRA is supposed to verify all the source data and ensure that all the data that they have collected is updated in the EDC system properly. Okay, and they also handle queries. How they handle queries, I have to, that's a detailed information that I have to give, but overall I made you understand. And they have to also ensure that the patient safety, so making sure adverse events are reported and managed properly. Just like I mentioned, that when patient is with you and taking the medicine, at that time, if any adverse events is happening, then it is their responsibility to immediately report it. And if the CRA is present at the site, then they ensure the safety of the patient. And closing out site, so once everything is done, we have to ensure that all the sites have been closed out. So these are detailed informations that right now we are just getting introduced to all this roles. So this is CRA. Maybe in a detailed session we can communicate that. And this is a CRC. All this while I was telling you. Okay, thank you, Mufinuddin. If you have any more questions, please definitely come up with them. So we'll quickly go through what CRC does. As I described, patient recruitment. So once the patient is coming, the recruitment, the process, to enroll them, taking their details and all those stuff, they do. Informed consent. So I'm not very sure how aware you are about informed consent. Like protocol, there is another document which is very important in this overall clinical research process, which is informed consent. Consent meaning whether you are giving consent, we all understand what is the meaning of consent. Informed consent. Oh, just a minute. I'll just drink some water and then continue. So the primary objective of this clinical trial is all the subjects that we have in clinical trial studies, they have to know what is the drug, what it will do to their body. And hello Josefa Maz, hi Maz, welcome. So the patient has to be informed. That's why informed consent. So first they have to be informed about the clinical trial, what is happening, what are the drugs that they will be taking, uh, what are the process that they will go through, and then what are the benefits they are expected to be having out of this clinical trial. Okay, each and every information regarding the trial, they should be informed. And after knowing the information, if they are willing to be participating in this trial, then they will give their consent. So the primary requirement of enrolling a patient into a study is signing informed consent. So whatever, whoever is coming for my study, I have to tell them that this is the drug we are uh, trialing, and this is the reaction, adverse reaction, possible adverse reaction that may you have, and this is the benefit that you may have. All this information we will give them. And then after knowing everything, if they're giving the consent for this trial, then we will enroll them into the study. So informed consent is a very important document. And another thing with informed consent, suppose somebody is enrolled into the study. Once the patient are inside enrolled into the study, they start taking the medicines. But at any given point, so informed consent is the backbone of a trial. At any given point, if the subject decides that no, I'm having some trouble, I'm not very happy with the trial, I'm not having happy with the results that it is giving me, and I do not want to continue, then at any given point, maybe 2 months down the line, one visit down the line, 3 months down the line, towards the end of the study, they can withdraw the consent. And if they withdraw the consent, then we cannot continue with them with the trial. We have to let them go. So this is the basic principle of clinical trial. Okay, so informed consent, telling the information to the subjects and taking consent from them, that is also a CRC job. Okay, and data collection, as I mentioned, that all the case report form, whatever their activity they are doing, they have to write it, collect the data. Okay, so scheduling. So as I mentioned that the entire clinical trial has a schedule, so they have to manage the patient's appointments, like today, day one visit, 1st January visit 1, 15th January visit 2, so and so forth, like, okay. And other procedures also, if you have to take a ECG, you have to take a blood sample, you have to do some other analysis. So what will be the procedure, when it will be, after food, before dose, after dose. So everything they will be scheduling and managing, okay. Now managing study supplies. Now there is another important task for CRC also. So as going back to our story, Novat is our sponsor. We are working on an oncology study, oncology meaning cancer study. So the drug, and the drug meaning the medicine. So you all are pharmacy students, so I do not need to tell you what the drug means. So the drug that we are supposed to give to the subjects, all the supplies, even all the toolkits, like if you are drawing blood for some analysis, all we also, like, not we, the site people, they receive all the kits, okay. So all the supplies, medical supplies for the trial, which is coming from the sponsor, they also manage those supplies also, okay. And then monitoring, visit support, adverse event reporting, because they are in the closest contact of the subject. So any adverse event is happening, they are the one who is responsible to report the adverse event to the sponsor. And document management. So as by now you know that they are handling a lot of patient data, so that document management is also their responsibility. So far, by and large, I think we know what is a protocol, who is a sponsor, and if there is a trial happening, then what is informed consent, why it is important. And then I'm just summarizing so far what we have learned. And we know what is a CRC, what is its role. We know what is a CRA, what is its role. CDM, what does it do, and PV, okay. Now there are some other roles also, we will move to those roles, okay. So we have, now we will talk about medical coding. Now that we spoke so much about safety and adverse reactions and adverse events, so now we it is a good time to talk about medical coding. Now, uh, what happens? Suppose somebody is feeling, somebody is having a vomiting feeling, okay. Here in UK, what we call it, they say, are you going to, are you feeling sick, are you going to be sick? Initially, in the hospital, I did not understand what. Yes, I'm sick, that's why I have come to the hospital, but I did not understand what do they mean. So if they're asking here that if you are going to be sick, because they mean, are you feeling vomiting, are you feeling like vomiting, okay. So they call it sick. Now there could be multiple description of a single medical condition. Now when a patient is coming, okay, one patient is saying, doctor, I'm feeling nausea, I'm feeling like having a nausea feeling. Somebody is saying, I want to do vomiting. Somebody is saying, I'm feeling sick. They all are meaning the same, but they're saying the three different things, okay. Now when we are running a trial, d- so we are working with data primarily, and based upon the data we will be taking some conclusion. So our data has to be very concise and standardized, because otherwise it will be very difficult to analyze the results, okay. So for the standardization purpose, this medical coding is a very important aspect of clinical trial. Now standardization of what, all these clinical terms, okay. So adverse events happening, suppose there is a medicine that you're taking, the trial drug, and somebody's heartbeat has increased, okay. So that can be denoted in very many different way, but we have to, that medically what it is called, single medical condition, multiple synonyms, correct. So we have to minimize that different medical names and multiple synonyms and come to a single term medical condition, so that we can standardize it. And if I'm saying nausea, that everybody will understand, okay, I'm feeling a vomiting sensation. Okay, so for that reason we need to do medical coding. So medical coding, uh, for doing medical coding, there are different dictionaries that has been there and created for from the regulatory departments. And which are the documents that we code? So one is adverse events, because there could be different synonyms and um, that is getting reported. So for a 8 that CRF that I mentioned, where all the details we you know all the details that we capture. So in adverse event form, there are two different data points. One is preferred term and one is coded term. Okay, so uh, preferred term means what the subject is telling you that this has happened, and then after that coding, after the coding team is done their coding, then what is the term that is it get coded, that also gets mentioned in the CRF. So there are other two forms that we collect data. They also get coded. One is concomitant medication. So if adverse event is happening, then we give some medication. Now we all know, being pharmacy field people, that there could be different company name to a single drug. Atanu Pradhan, Medra Associate. Yeah, he's giving an example. Thank you, Atanu. So so as we all know that there could be different brand names, but there we have to all consider to the generic names. So that also comes under coding. And medical history. Medical history is another information. So in a clinical trial process, mm, suppose this trial started from 15th February. Okay, so any there could be patients who have a pre-existing disease, and for that, suppose a patient coming for a oncology study, but he has diabetes, he has a BP condition, he has a heart condition, and for that they take regular medications. Okay, so all this information, as it is a pre-existing conditions, so all these informations will go to a medical history page. So now we also keep a tab on this medical history events, and we have a page for that also. So these three pages get coded through this medical coding. So medical coding is another role where you work as a medical coder and do this coding for different trials. Okay, so this is one role. And we have another role which is called medical writing. Now, medical writing is a little diverse. Okay, before I go to medical writing, I'll just tell you about regulatory medical, not medical affairs. This will be regulatory affairs. So there is another role which is called regulatory affairs associate. It can be with some other names also. It could be regulatory affairs associate, regulatory affairs specialist, manager, executive, in different names. So what this regulatory affairs associate does, so as we know that all this trial we are doing, we have some rules and regulations that we are supposed to follow. So this regulatory associates uh, gets involved in the entire process of this trial. And they initially, they in every step of the way, they manage and they ensure. They can be from the sponsor side, and they ensure that all this trial, all this patient enrollment, data collection, source data verification, whether the cleaning and then submission, everything is happening as per the regulatory requirements. So this is another role where we can apply, where we have to know about the regulatory requirements, and we have to keep a tab overall the study whether they are maintaining the regulatory requirements or not. So this is another role, and we will now come to this medical writing role. So medical writing role is a little vast role. So medical writing, uh, in medical writing, there are different, how do I say, so medical writing is an umbrella. Under it there are different divisions that come. So one division is related to our clinical trial, where regulatory, um, for the clinical trial medical writing, there could be this ICF writings, protocol writings, other clinical study reports writing, and other investigator brochures and protocols and regulatory submissions, all these documents that can be written. Okay, but this is one part of the medical writing. There could be different other writings. So all the students who are doing masters, also bachelors are also eligible, but I checked with one friend who works in medical writing. She mentioned that the people who are doing masters and inclined into research field, they can also prefer this role, wherein they have different writing sections like scientific writings, medical communications, editing and proofing, and literature review. So for how do I say, um, suppose there is a vaccine. Okay, so many a times you would notice, if you go to an hospital, you will see on the wall there could be different information, general frequently asked questions. You can see about vaccines, about AIDS, about different STDs and different medical condition, that some information is sticking in a brochure format or in a poster format, lying around the hospital. So all these also creating these information, these brochures, these posters is also a part of medical writing. Okay, and sometimes in India, it is less, but here in UK we receive a lot of information whenever we are going to a hospital and a doctor. Whatever information they are giving you by treating you, apart from that they will give you few pages of, few leaflets, a small brochure book, and they will give you a lot of information about the disease that you are going for them, and then general precautions and many other things. So this is also, these documents also are created by medical writers. Okay, now they, for this job, they have to do a lot of research work, from have to go to all these research publications and read from them and gather information, and then create all these documents. There are many other avenue also in medical writing where you can go. So medical writing again is a big umbrella, under which clinical trial part is also all the clinical trial that we are discussing all this while. That work is also done, and apart from clinical trial work, there are other scientific writing works also that has been done. So it is also another a wide area where you can go, and you guys are definitely eligible. So I'll go back to my slides once. So I think we have covered all the roles. Yeah, just a moment. Okay. So these are the roles in a nutshell that I have shared with you all, uh, that are present in the industry, that you all are eligible, and you guys can apply. And as I mentioned with you, the name of, I can, after the session, I can just share one document where all the other names that I mentioned, if just in case you have missed, like clinical data management is also called as clinical CDC, clinical data coordinator, clinical data associate, like that. So whenever you are going and looking for a job, you see these names, and then you go through the job descriptions and you apply accordingly. Okay. And then for each and every role, there is not you don't have a one size fit all, so you have to tweak your CV accordingly. You have asked to seek help from, and then you accordingly prepare. So you can always go through the job description, like whatever you are preparing right now. You always, so as we say in clinical trial, protocol is our bible. So whenever you are seeking for job, your job description is your bible. So nowadays we have the great chat gpt. So you go to the job description, you open each and every topic and you read about it, and anything and everything that help that you need, you can always ask from us. And I hope you got an idea how this clinical research and different roles within clinical research that works. And yeah, definitely. I have worked in clinical data management so far, so I will be giving you more information and all the processes about clinical data management in my course. And other roles also, whatever information that we have and whatever help that we can provide you, we will definitely. But my suggestion to you all is you look out for all of these roles, because you guys are eligible for all of them. And then keep trying. Then when you have more options, the likelihood of you getting a job expands. Data which CDM manages, does it get submitted to regulatory authorities? Yes, Jagdish, it does get submitted to the regulatory authorities, but in not in a documentation format. So all the documents that CDM reviews, it the collective all the documents that CDM reviews and finalizes, all the documents, it gets to biostatisticians. There is a team, people who are studying biostatistics. They also can apply in this profession and clinical trial world. So all the data that we are cleaning and accumulating and locking, we all the data, it goes to biostatistician, and depending upon the data, they uh, they create a visual representation of all the data, and that gets submitted to the regulatory authorities for them to decide whether, them and the sponsor definitely, to decide whether it will go further and or not. Okay. So yeah, to tell you this, that these today's session, I wanted to tell you all the opportunities that you have out in the market. Definitely there are opportunities that you know about, the production and marketing and QC QMM, which what skills are important for Canadian job. If you're a fresher, to know about the phases of clinical trials, the ICH-GCP guidelines, 21 CFR, all the regulation guidelines, basic regulation guidelines, which I will be guiding you through and taking you classes. In the beginning, when I was a fresher and I was giving interview, I had all this information. And but then I will be preparing you with some more information that I know from the industry, so that you will be better prepared. What are the data cleaning process that is there, how data cleaning is done, what are the different activities that is done through which data cleaning is happening, what are the other um, you know aspects or concept of clinical data, clinical trial, all I'll be teaching you. Okay. But primarily, the phases, how many subjects are there in each phases, what is safety, efficacy, and then the regulatory requirements, ICH GCP guidelines, how many of them, all these things are a good base for your CDM preparation to start with. Okay. And yeah, so if you guys have any more question, I think Rudro was asking about trial master file, and I have addressed that. Rudro, Are you okay with the information? Oh, I had to tell you about TMF job as well. Ma'am, can you please explain once again the relationship between pharmacovigilance and CDM? Yes, of course. Let me talk about the TMF bit and then I'll come back. So, yeah. Uh, Thank you, Rudra, for telling this. This is trial master file I have missed. So, trial master file is another aspect where you can also get a job. But to be very honest, getting into a TMF role becomes a little restricting in terms of your career growth, because all these roles that I have mentioned, mostly they have the broader path where you can keep excelling. TMF roles gets a little constricted because it's a very enclosed role, where you deal with only TMF. So the TMF team, so we have to deal with a lot of data, right? There are plenty of clinical trials that are happening, and plenty of trials are happening, and all those trials are yielding a lot and lot of documents. So managing those huge amount of document is not easy. So there is a team, TMF trial master file managing team is also there. There is a job role who manages these documents. So they ensure if the documents, all the documents that is required and prescribed. Suppose there is a clinical trial happening, okay, a study is on the go live. So they have a list of documents that are supposed to be there for that study. So they will check if all the studies, all the documents are there. Now all the documents, when they are prepared, they needs to be suppose the documents that gets prepared, not a single person, it is not prepared by a single person. There is multiple people who come together and create uh, documents. Different documents requires different stakeholders, but not all the documents need multiple people to create. So once the document is created, we need to collect signature from all of them, okay, and then there will be signature and date and effective date also, like until when it is applicable and stuff like that. Okay, so the TMF team, what they ensures, first of all, the document is complete, because many a times there is so many things that goes on in a trial. Many a times you might miss completing a document, you might miss taking a signature from one stakeholder, there could be a date mismatch, there could be a thousands of things that can go wrong. So this TMF team, they ensure that because that is also a regulatory criteria, that you maintain all the documents appropriately. So this TMF team ensures that the documents are present, complete, not expired. If and then if there is a problem, they review it, and then suppose I am a data manager and I'm supposed to sign in a document and my sign is missing, then they will send me a notification. And I'm not sure if you are aware of DocuSign. So previously, as the basic difference, previously everything was paper, now everything is electronic. So electronic signature, so DocuSign is a platform which allows you to sign documents electronically. So they will send you uh, an email saying this signature is pending from Miss Dilruba, and you sign it. So you do, so all this cross check and this health checkup of the document is done by ETMF team. And yes, definitely ETMF is another area where you can get a job. But to be very honest, I would recommend the definitely go for, you can go for it. If you're getting initially, if you're getting selected in a ETMF team, go for it. But then I would suggest you to eventually go into these fields where you will get a little less restricted in your career path, okay. But you can anyway definitely can switch with between the roles, and you can prepare yourself. So yeah. And somebody asked about Ma'am, can you please explain once again the relationship between pharmacovigilance and CDM? Yes. So this PV team and CDM team work hand in hand because um, they both PV team exclusively collect and they maintain the safety data. Safety data meaning this adverse ADR, what you call ADR in PV, adverse drug reactions. It could be adverse event, it could be serious adverse event. There are criteria for that. So by which we will say this isn't serious, this is not serious. But if, irrespective of if it is an serious adverse event or an adverse event, we have to report it. So pharmacovigilance keep a track of adverse reactions only, and clinical data management people, they deal with all the data along with safety data, and they work hand in hand because we have to ensure that no adverse reaction is getting missed. Okay, so when a adverse reaction is happening in the site, both PV needs to be intimated and CDM needs to be intimated. And as I mentioned, then there could be human error, there could be thousand things that can go wrong, and for that there could be a mismatch that somebody has forgotten to tell pharmacovigilance that this reaction has happened, but somebody informed the CD team. So we always try and be sync this PV team and CDM team by doing a activity called SE reconciliation, wherein we get, we meaning as I work in CDM, so I'm referring as we. So the CDM team receives raw data, all the SAE and AE data from PV team, and they matches whether everything is present in both the databases. Okay, so they work closely hand in hand. This SAE reconciliation happened monthly when a study is alive on the conduct phase, and it is going on ongoing study. So every month this reconciliation happens. They every month they communicate, and if there is a problem, there is plenty of times uh, you find a mismatch of the event. Okay, example, event is present in PV but not in CDM, and vice versa, present in safety clinical but not in PV. That happens. There could be date mismatches, there could be like these are the real problems that happens. And there could be coding issues, that coding has happened in one place and coding has not happened in the other place. So there are mismatches that we come up with. So it is very necessary to work alongside PV. So we have like the CDM people have monthly communication with PV. If there is an issue, there is a tracker where they share their issues. If there is something needs to be updated in PV system, then CDM people send them a communication saying our database is updated, please update your database, and vice versa. So there is a direct communication and a regular communication. So PV and CDM work very closely. Okay, so I hope I have cleared your doubt, Otono. Also, Rudro, I tried to explain TMF. If you still have any question, don't hesitate to later on also in the group you can ask question and I can give you some answer. Means both are cross check all the data. Correct, both cross check the data. It is very important that we cross check the data and ensure that we have all the adverse event or ADRs in place. Yes, ma'am, means both PV team and CDM team check the safety information matches in the database. Correct, perfectly correct, Jagdish. And they work, these both teams work very closely with each other. Monthly communication, if there is an issue, they resolve their problems. So yeah. Okay, so okay, great. Then I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys today, all the roles, and give you an overview of what happens and when and how. So if you guys have any questions, then you can ask me. If something comes up, pops up in your mind later also, you always have the group, and then you can pop in your question there. And if you have any question from whatever I have told you, I'll give you some time. You can raise any question, or anything you want to repeat, then I'll repeat. And we are trying. I have a friend, she used to work as a medical writer. So we are trying to work with her and bring her over for giving an overview how medical writing works. And you are encouraged to, go and check all these roles. I hope you have made a note. Also, we can share the information, not a problem. And any question you come up with, you can definitely come and ask. And for the CV also, how you can tweak, we can also always discuss. But I would say please do apply for all the roles. And only thing is, for CRA role, uh, there is a lot of traveling involved. So that's one thing that keep in your mind. Whenever if you try and apply for a CRA role, they will also ask you the percentage of how much you're willing to travel. So that is one question that comes. I'm just giving a general information. If you do apply for a CRA role, then you might find this question, and you can say how much you want to. Many a times, they give you in percentage, 15%, 20%, or they give you in days, that 5 days a month or 15 days a month. So as per your feasibility, you can definitely uh, give them the answer whenever you are applying for CRA. I'm not very sure if they ask for if you're a fresher, but you might get even for a fresher. Okay. So so far, these are all that I wanted to discuss today. From next sessions, it will be purely clinical data management course that I'll be teaching. And yeah, I will see if a CRC and CRA combined class can also be done. Okay. uh, so if anyone has any question, please write it down. If not, then we can finish it off today here, and see you on a later date. So what's the time in India? Oh, it's pretty late. I took a lot of time. uh, but I hope I could give you an overview of what happens. um yeah. So if nothing else from your side, then we can finish the session today, and we'll see you later. Thank you. Thank you, Rudro. Okay. Then if nothing else from you guys, I know it's a lot of information that I have infused. So you are welcome for any questions that you come up with. And I will, you can make a note, and then next time whenever we are meeting, we can clear those doubts. Okay. Okay, then if nothing from your end, then we will end this session. Thank you, Rakibul. It's a great session. My pleasure. Thank you, ma'am, for such a beautiful session. Thank you, guys, for being there with me in this session for so long, and such a late time in India. But yeah, my I wish you all good luck, and I hope you explore your options and be successful in any one of them. Okay. Uh, Okay, great, great. I'm happy that you could get a glimpse of what happens and what are the roles that are present. Okay, so we will end this session today and see you in a later date. Uh, okay, okay, Tofik, thank you. Chalo, We will finish today. Bye. Good night. Okay. Okay. Bye.